contract inputting all of the soils data for NRCS. So done a couple of different things. And my very first job in agriculture was actually teaching migrant farm workers in Pennsylvania how to use pesticides, and didn't think at that point in time that working in agriculture was going to be part of what I ended up doing for a career. So now Merrimack County Conservation District does a lot of the projects that that a lot of the other districts do. We have shareable equipment, a lime spreader, an aerator. You know, we're doing, following Carroll and Belknap County's lead, we have some in-stream wood projects that we're doing. We do soil health. So we do a lot of those projects, but tonight I kind of wanted to go over some of the things that that we focus on a bit here in Merrimack County. And so, but first, the mission of the Merrimack County Conservation District is to conserve the natural resources and cultural heritage of Merrimack County. Old, you know, from the very beginning, almost 75 years, that's what the mission has been. So one of the things I wanted to focus on is some of our food security programs. Now, the way that we do programs here in Merrimack County is that we have, we haven't had much success going to people and saying, you should really do this. But we've had a lot of success when our constituents come to us and say, we want your help with this. And so probably about 10 years ago, we had people come to us and say, we want you to help us accept SNAP and EBT, or to do gleaning programs, or to do something that kind of helps get agricultural goods grown here in the county to some of the people in need. And so one of the things we've really started doing this year, though honestly, Chris will remember that we started one of the projects with Vicki at Franklin Middle School, is we do a lot of community garden programs. Now, these programs we have done from help with private funders like Franklin Savings Bank, but we also got a National Association of Conservation Districts grant to do urban garden work. And this year we got a large grant from the New Hampshire Children's Health Foundation to continue this project. And so we have two different types of gardens we work with. We have got school gardens that that we're growing food for the students and with the students. And so they get to eat some of this food in the classroom, or they will take that food and donate it to families in need in their own community. But we also do a lot of educational programming around these school gardens. Now, a long time ago, the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Districts with Merrimack County oversaw the Food, Land, and People program. We still have the materials for that, and when we work with our local schools, we still implement that Food, Land, and People program. And so the other program we do for the really young kids is the Early Sprouts program that was developed here in New Hampshire at Keene State College. And they have a tailored program that is very, very good for the Head Starts that we work with, the preschools, you know, up until about the kindergarten age. So now with community gardens, we do something different. We do a technical assistance to those community gardens. So we do a lot of soil testing. We find ways to try to get them amendments for their soils. We do trainings for the gardeners on best practices. And just recently, as part of that grant that we received, we are creating gleaning gardens for the communities. So within those community gardens, we have volunteers who grow food specifically for their local food pantries. And the other thing we have started doing is we've been providing some management assistance, which basically means that we kind of run the garden, or we fill that spot when there are some gaps in the community governance. So we've done that in the town of Boscawen this year. So the other thing I would like to add about these gardens, or actually, let me show you some pictures first, and I can explain this a little bit better. So the picture on the right is from the Sycamore Community Garden. And so this is a garden for mostly new Americans from Bhutan, Nepal, Iraq, Somali refugees. And this is on land that's right next to the New Hampshire Technical Institute. And so as part of the New Hampshire Association of Conservation District demonstration projects, we were able to put a high tunnel up on NHTI, which we will use as a teaching high tunnel with their sustainable ag program. But we will also be helping the refugees do some of their starts and some season extension up in that high tunnel. And then off to the left is the person who has been running this program for the most part, Hillary Bailey. She works in schools. She's a farmer. And behind her is our best volunteer, Bernie, who we met through a volunteer program called the RSVP program. And that's just one of the raised beds that we put in at the Salisbury Elementary School earlier this year. So going on with food security programs, we also do the New Hampshire Gleaning Program. And so what we do with this is we go around and we collect food that that either is not going to be sold, looks a little weird. For the most part, it's stuff that the farmers just grew too much, and we're accepting it for our food pantries. So in the picture there, we have Hillary. This is at Spring Ledge Farm, and you can see some of the oversized squash that we got there. And so now the gleaning program is great because it actually introduces us to new farms. And once we build those relationships with the farms, we're able to say, hey, have you thought about this program? Have you thought about that program? And so it really, all of these programs build upon each other to create more partnerships, not just for gleaning, but with connections to NRCS programs or connections to that's where we can have a conversation about, hey, we have this piece of equipment you can rent. So this program gets us on those farms too. But they also benefit because they get a tax credit. We promote them in our local food guide and in our newsletters. And for some farms, like blueberry farms, the gleaning gets the extra blueberries off, which will help for their production in the following year. So all of these programs really do build on top of each other throughout the community, which is very helpful. So the other thing that we do is we do farmers market programs. Again, it is a great way for us to meet new farms, to build those relationships. We are the regional lead for Granite State Market Match. And what this does is we're able to accept SNAP, EBT, formerly known as stamps funds, and match them. So someone comes with $20 worth of SNAP funds, they leave our table with $40 worth of purchasing power, and that is through a USDA FINI grant that goes to the New Hampshire Food Bank and then down to us. And other, Cheshire County also does this program as well. And we do this all over the state, all over the county and year round. We're one of the few counties that has year round farmers markets that we can provide this program. And so the benefit of this, again, we get to meet new farms. They have the ability to accept SNAP and build their customer base, and the people in the county are able to get affordable, fresh, locally grown produce. So now we also have through private donations, we have something that we call our Veteran Value Bucks. I think we're changing that name. And so basically this is an incentive to veterans to go buy food at the farmers markets. And again, it builds the farmers customer base and it increases the world that we have within our own conservation district. So, and we have a National Guard here, and we also have a military community that could use the assistance. We have a lot of students here that are barely scraping by, and this gives them some money to buy fresh food at the farmers markets, as well as a homeless vet population here in Concord. So this is Mariah, one of our part-time employees. She was actually a recipient of our very first scholarship. We give a yearly scholarship scholarship to a student going into agriculture or environmental science, et cetera. She works at DES, but she came on as an intern and continues to help us to this day, which I think is 7 years later. So I know I only had 5 minutes, but another quick thing that we're doing that I think is very specific to Merrimack County is our farm energy program. This year we are funded through a specialty crop block grant. And so what we're doing with this, we had worked with the former Southern New Hampshire RC&D Council back in 2012 to do a comprehensive farm energy program with audits, and we trained auditors and got them through the TSP program. And so we also had a farm energy booklet, which we updated as part of this grant. And we've been getting assistance to farmers in getting a farm energy audit, whether through NRCS or through some incentive programs that the utilities have available. We have been doing some education outreach. For the most part, that's mostly been technical assistance to farms, going to the farms individually, instead of having any of those group workshops. Hopefully we'll be able to get back to those group workshops, but for right now, it's mostly just one-on-one. And we're also doing demonstration sites that with the grant money is helping farms implement something new and different, whether it's improved refrigeration or insulation, more efficient heating sources, improved lighting, or the picture you see here is season extension using compost heat. So if anyone has been to Pedal Pushers in Laconia, they have a very gigantic leaf composting system in which the heat that the compost is creating goes into their greenhouses. Well, this farm right here, Worksong Farm, is trying to do that on a smaller scale. So getting all of those leaves to compost, which will go onto their fields, but also taking some of that heat, running pipe under their high tunnels, and trying to extend the season and warm their high tunnels just a little bit more. So it's a great little project that they're doing. And this right here, last year we did a training day for Envirothon. And also just an outreach day for middle and high school students. And these are some students who were sticking their hands in the compost to feel how hot it was in the center. So Worksong Farm was one of those farms that opened up their farm in order to train the students that were competing in Envirothon. So again, a lot of our programs almost scaffold on top of each other, you know, and we're able to kind of tie a lot of things together, whether it's food security or education or whatever, you know, to try to build that community web here. And I think that's it. I've definitely gone over my time. So any questions?
I have a quick one, Stacy. I'm not sure, or maybe I could email it to you, but the idea that Pedal Pushers is using this compost with the probably PVC or something running under it to take that and heat their caterpillar tunnel or tunnel, whatever it is really fascinating. And I'm fingers crossed post-COVID or at some point in the future, I'm wondering if we could do some outreach to you and ask if you could arrange some sort of a small tour so interested people could see this besides the Envirothon training or the Envirothon open house that they offered. So sounds like that might be something really interesting to get a firsthand look at.
I think it would. Now this farm right here is Worksong Farm, which is in Hopkinton, across from Beach Hill Farm, so you can get your ice cream at the same time. Pedal Pushers has a much larger system, and they were able to get SARE funds to fund part of that. And I think they would probably be willing to do that, but last I knew they were for sale. So hopefully post-COVID, we probably could do that. It's a much more impressive system with conveyor belts, and it is quite a program Pedal Pushers have, a much larger scale than Worksong is trying to do.
Well, that sounds good, but so does the proximity to an ice cream stand. So
yes.
We'll keep in touch about this, Stacy. Any other questions from the audience attending right now? Nicely done. Really fascinating. If anybody has questions, we know how to find you, Stacy. So thank you ever so much for being here tonight.
Great, thank you.
That
All
was
right.
very nice. Thank you, Stacy.
Our next presentation tonight comes from New Hampshire Timberland Owners Association, and Linda Brownson's here to give that presentation. To introduce Linda, I'd like you to know she's a forest landowner in Wentworth, managing a mixed hardwood and conifer forest of 200 acres in the western foothills of the White Mountains. She earned her BA at the University of Minnesota in International Relations and her PhD at Boston University in the fields of sociology of culture and intercultural communication. Soon after settling in New Hampshire in 2003, she became and still serves on a supervisor for the Grafton County Conservation District and later president of the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Districts. Linda also chaired the New Hampshire State Conservation Committee for several years until 2019. She's currently the executive board member of the National Association of Conservation Districts, representing the 12 states of the Northeast region. Linda joined the New Hampshire Timberland Owners Association in 2005 and became the president of this organization in June of this year. We'd like to thank you for your time and welcome you tonight, Linda. And that's a really interesting background. I do always enjoy finding out what did people do that led them to what they're doing now. So with your background in international relations, I'm sure you're an asset to New Hampshire here. So thanks for being with us tonight, and we'd love to hear your program now.
Yes, I apologize for the bright light on my face, but I'm in a barn that doesn't have overhead lights, and if I turn it off, I can't see anything except the screen. So I apologize for that. Vicki, am I able to share some slides as well? Do you have to do something?
I think you should just be able to push the screen share button at the bottom.
And then do that again to turn it off?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I haven't tried to do this before, so learning something. Okay, so let's see if I can get this here. Slide. Trying to figure out how I get notes page. No, that's not it. Online view. Normal. Trying to figure out which one to put on here. Slide master. No, okay. Well, master view. All right, we'll just go with this. Anyway, so I'm going to just give a little, I was asked to do a little bit of report on the New Hampshire Timberland Owners Association. And this is like a partner report, I guess. Since many of our conservation district people are also forest land owners, I think it's, and probably a lot of them are members of this organization, I think it's a good idea to kind of get a little survey of it. How many of you, by the way, are members of NHTOA? Anybody? Tom? Okay. Anyone else?
I'm sorry, I am not myself, but I work with the Piscataqua Land Conservancy, and they are.
I see. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, to appreciate the context within which the New Hampshire Timberland Owners Association was formed, I think it's important to get a perspective of its place in what was called then the forestry movement, which was really progress in the proper use of forests. Back then, the idea of forest management for sustained yield was very slow of acceptance among woodland owners. They mostly thought of forests in terms of merchantable timber available for cutting. Few forest landowners thought of the forest as a perpetual source of raw material for industry. Until the end of the last century, little attention was paid to forest fires, unless the lives of people and property were threatened. But then as railroads brought in more people into our White Mountains and into all of New Hampshire, forest fires increased, and many were caused by the locomotives that brought them in. Public suppression of fires was totally inadequate, and the idea of cooperation of timberland owners with the state forestry department was developed. The original group of men involved represented or owned a great deal of timberland in the northern New Hampshire in Coos County. All of them were from Coos County, and they were primarily concerned about the cost of the damage caused by forest fires. So this was the start of the New Hampshire timberland owners. The year 1911 saw great progress in the forestry movement in New Hampshire, especially in fire protection, and helped by years of publicity from the Society for the Protection of New Hampshire Forests and educational work done by the Forestry Department. So this group of timberland owners in Coos became stronger and more united and formed the New Hampshire Timberland Owners Association in 1911. And they had already developed a fire plan because that was really their main concern. And so because of this, New Hampshire was the first state in all of the country to receive financial aid for fire protection from Congress with the help of this newly formed NHTOA. Today, more than 100 years later, it's over 100 years old, the New Hampshire Timberland Owners Association is a nonprofit statewide coalition of landowners, foresters, loggers, truckers, mill owners, secondary wood products manufacturers, biomass electricity, thermal power producers, government officials, and others who work together to promote sustainable forest management, conserve our working forests, and ensure a strong forest products industry. Our work consists primarily of advocacy, education, and collaboration. So I'm going to just, I've got some things printed here. Let's see, just so you can see. Our mission, simple: promote private and public working forests, responsible forest management, and a strong forest products industry. Our vision: a New Hampshire that sustains timber, wood, and fiber production as a core of its economy, provides stable, well-paying forest products employment, supports recreation and tourism, protects air and water quality, and maintains wildlife and plant habitats within its forests. This is an example of a pallet plant in Henniker, which I just visited recently. I don't have a lot of photos, but I just put in a few that I have. This is logs at Milan Lumber up north in Coos County. And this is a select cut eastern white pine harvest, which recently took place in Rumney, which is right next to where my town is in Wentworth. Just to give you an example of some things we do. Advocacy is our prime work, and at the state and local level, NHTOA advocates on behalf of our members on issues affecting their ability to own, manage, and harvest timber and to operate their forest products companies. We also advocate at the federal level on a number of issues impacting the management of private and public timberland. We also invest time and resources on policy issues at the local and national levels of government. For example, just this month, we helped kill an anti-forestry ordinance proposal in Chesterfield, New Hampshire. And we also dealt with a posting road limit excess in Epping. We were told by some of our members who are foresters, that Epping, you probably know when in mud season, a sign goes up on your road and it says, nobody weighing more, with a truck weighing more than 1,000 tons or whatever. I guess it wouldn't be 1,000 tons, can go up this road. Well, Epping adopted it for all year round, 365 days a year on all their roads. So those are the kind of little issues that we deal with locally as part of our advocacy. This year, energy issues, as always, were part of our 2020 concerns. We worked to kill a bill that was hostile to the state's biomass power plants and would have eliminated the Class 3 biomass category in New Hampshire's renewable portfolio. So, we have to remain ever vigilant. We look at bills that come in. Some of them are frivolous, some of them we support, and some of them we just monitor. But we do a lot of work with that. Education is our second biggest area. Our education goals are to introduce working forest concepts and teach their values. We advocate preventing the loss of working forest land to development in New Hampshire. And we inform students of the many career choices within the forest products industries. And finally, we try to instill responsibility for our working forests within our industries. The forest products industry is New Hampshire's third largest industry, employing over 10,000 people and impacting our economy with $1.5 billion in revenue every year. For workplace and professionalism and landowner training, we partner with UNH Cooperative Extension and the UNH Thompson School of Applied Science to produce the PLP, which is the Professional Loggers Program. We provide workshops and classes for New Hampshire's timber harvesting industry, mills, and landowners. Excuse me. Over the past 12 months, the PLP held 14 classes to train 178 individuals in all aspects of forest management, despite the loss of the entire spring and summer 2020 training due to COVID-19 meeting restrictions. A great member benefit are the educational offerings for forest land owners. Classes scheduled for the remainder of this year, for example, include Selling Timber, Do It Right, as the title of one goes, Conservation Easements, Your Land and Your Legacy, Controlling Ailanthus altissima, called the Tree of Heaven, an invasive species new to New Hampshire, and Forest Trails and Recreation. Classes or webinars are open to all, but members receive a course discount. This year, we were proud to develop, we called it a marquee workforce development event, the New Hampshire Forest Industry Career Field Day. That was the name of it. It's now postponed until this coming spring because of the COVID. But the overwhelming interest in this event, there were more than 500 New Hampshire students who registered to attend this event before we had to cancel it, is evidence of the high interest by students and school administrators in learning more about careers in the state's forest products industry. And we also got input. One reason we decided to develop this is the input from the forest products industry themselves, saying they can't find any help anymore. Nobody wants to go into this area. So we found that that wasn't actually true, but obviously there was a need to find out more about it, especially now that technology has advanced so much that, working in a sawmill is not like it used to be. You have to learn how to run lasers and do all kinds of things. On behalf of the New Hampshire Sustainable Forestry Initiative State Committee, and the New Hampshire Project Learning Tree, the NHTOA has also organized it was the 2020 Forests of New Hampshire Teacher Tours. Now, again, it's postponed till 2021. The purpose of this tour is twofold. Number one, to educate teachers on the value and importance of forestry to the environmental and economic health of Coos County. I say Coos because all of the tours were going to be up in Coos. And two, to make teachers aware of career opportunities in the forest industry for their students. NHTOA publishes the Timber Crier. This is a quarterly, high-quality magazine that serves as the primary communications tool for the organization's membership and the broader forestry community. We have a Facebook page and we have a newsletter. It's called Forest Facts. You can get to that by going on our website and you can sign up for it, so it's sent to you automatically. To increase our reach, and we also have a strong relationship with mainstream media. Now, I wanted to show you some pictures of this one big issue we had last year and the year before. We had this was particular interest to our owners because of the impact of the Renewable Portfolio Standard Law on our biomass plants. Just to put it in a nutshell, New Hampshire electricity suppliers are required to purchase renewable energy certificates, RECs, from eligible renewable power plants for a certain percentage of the power they supply to New Hampshire customers. The purpose of the RPS is to diversify New Hampshire's energy mix, keep fuel and energy dollars in the local economy, create and maintain jobs in New Hampshire, and support existing and new renewable power producers. So this was under threat, and we went to work on, we got the legislation passed that would protect it, even when electricity prices went down, which was why it was under attack. And we were actually able to get both bills passed, but then the governor vetoed them. So that's why you see the sign in front of the Capitol. You have to have a 2/3 majority to override the governor's veto. So we mobilized and got together with all of our membership, which is over 2,000 members strong, to sign petitions and say we want this law to protect our renewable energy sources, biomass being a big one because of how many people are employed there and so on. So there's one more picture here. This is the biomass rally in Concord that we had, the big turnouts. So let's see, where was I here? Okay, so also besides this kind of mobilizing and advocacy and education, we also have an awards program, which we take very serious. Every year it honors deserving members and supporters of our industry with several awards, such as Outstanding Logger, Outstanding Forest Industry, the President's Award, and the Kendall Norcott Award, which was named for an important New Hampshire forester and presented for outstanding service to the association. We were able to have that event just 2 weeks ago in a big barn in Wentworth that belonged to Wade Reed Logging, and with strict protocols, you know, with our temperatures taken, and we were like 12 feet apart and masks and so on. But it was very important to these award winners that they got acknowledged, except for, you know, online. It made a difference. NHTOA operates, as far as our administration goes, it operates with a professional staff of 4. We have an executive director, Jason Stock, education program director, Sherry Birch, communications director, Steve Berkeley, and an office manager, Deb Park, and a part-time office help. We have a board of directors that is made up of a landowner from each county. So we're represented by every county in the state, as well as loggers and foresters and forest products industry folks. So it's a very interesting mix. And when we get to all get together, it's often some very interesting conversations. Here, I'll show you a picture of our current board of directors. This was at my farm in Wentworth last year, where we had a fall outing. Last year, this was an NHTOA focused its administrative efforts establishing a planned giving endowment program. This year and next, the NHTOA and its 501c3 supporting organization, which is called the Granite State Woodlands Institute, will work to grow this program. Already, we've gotten a lot of response from landowners who want to leave a legacy or want to help an organization that they've belonged to for most of their life. So it's been very helpful to have that supportive organization that can accept funds like that, because NHTOA is a lobbying organization. So we can't do that. Our supporting organization can do that, and those funds will go for education with all our educational programs. Critical to our long-term operations is having a current and relevant strategic plan, and we've just started working on that project this month. With the recent change in timber markets and additional pressure on landowners and sustainable forestry, identifying these challenges and developing a strategy to address them will be very important. So that's probably going to take us, until we're thinking like till fall of next year, really. And we've hired a professional consultant to facilitate the process. Most of the landowners that conservation districts serve, as I said, are forest landowners also, and would be well served to join NHTOA. I think in many instances it would be appropriate if we could partner on some projects, especially educational pursuits. So please let me know if you see any special opportunities for collaboration between districts and NHTOA. And I'm happy to entertain any questions you might have about our organization.
Questions or comments for Linda?
Yes, or comments.
Very nicely done.
Thank you, Tom.
Every aspect of this was really interesting, from the historical aspects, which could be a New Hampshire Chronicle TV show, to the education and outreach, which is really commendable to think you're encouraging students in New Hampshire to stay put and really have a great career through this kind of work.
Yes, and the number of students who signed up is really an indication that they would like to do that, but hopefully we can do that course, that workshop this coming spring. So, but yes, a whole documentary could be done just on the history of the organization, going back to 1911 through the changes. They were first on fire, and then slowly but surely more on sustainability, and when the forests were all being cut down, and the Weeks Act was passed to save the White Mountains. It's an interesting story, but I just wanted to give you a general outline. But thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, thank you for being part of the Zoom In on Conservation tonight, for sure, Linda. Thank you.
All right.
I do want to let folks know that we're lucky that Richard Lutz has been able to join by phone. He's joined a while ago, so he's been with us tonight. He's the phone down there that you see. I am asking right now, Vicki Nelson, has Matt DeBona been able to join us from the Wild Turkey Federation?
He has not. We are going to have him in our December meeting.
All right.
We have Kelsey Kelsey from Great Heron Farm is going to talk about Instagrams in our December meeting. And then we'll have Matt talk about the National Wild Turkey Federation in December. In November, we have the Society for the Protection of New Hampshire Forests will be with us, and the Nature Conservancy. So some really large organizations in the state of New Hampshire will have as guests over the next 2 months.
Terrific. Any other closing comments? It's been a really exciting night. I'm glad that you folks were able to join us, and get a hold of Donna Hepp if you have information, or if you want to sign up, or if you want to be part of any of the workshops we mentioned earlier. Any other closing comments or statements? And thank you to Dick Lutz for going ahead and rearranging in real time to get us Matt for December. So we have a couple months lined up ahead of time, and hope everybody stays well and safe and can join us for next month as well. And thank you, Vicki Nelson, for being with us tonight and taking care of the tech, and for hosting and getting people in and out efficiently for this. Thank you very much, Vicki.
Okay.
Right, and Vicki put out some fires last night too, so that was great.
Glad to help.
All right, that looks like a wrap for October 7th. Thank you, everyone, for being part of this, and we'll look forward to seeing you in a month.
Good night,
Thank
all.
you. Thank you.
I like how Steve waves. Yeah, good night.